All right. So, what do we want to talk about today?
You want to talk about burnout?
Well, that's a good topic. Yeah,
Yeah, we can start with burnout because tell me when we record. Oh, are we recording?
we are. We are.
Okay.
Oh, which means catchphrase.
It's okay. Oh, put that clock on. Put the time. Make the time. Make the time happen. That's the catchphrase this week, which
That
is
was the catchphrase. All of that together was the
yeah. Put
catchphrase.
the make the time happen. Put it together. I am tired in a way that can only be described as emotional.
Yeah.
It's not even just that my body is tired. It's that like the idea, like I'm burnt. I'm not even like it's no one's fault. I'm just like like yeah, the world is always burning, um, and that's exhausting. But it's also like I feel like I've hit like the part of like Zodiac 2 is done. I'm making stuff, but I'm just like it's like sometimes like you're trying to find burnout as the opposite of flow.
Mhm.
But, like, sometimes you just have to push through burnout to try to find flow while staying some like, kinda sane. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
you go to your sources for, like, inspiration, and you're just like, right now, I'm doing, like, a heavy inspiration search for stuff, and I'm trying to make sure that my heavy inspiration search for stuff isn't pure procrastination. Because boy, is that it's easy to get and like it's funny because that piece I sent you, which is a rectangular piece that I kept working on, um, it's so complex. Like it's so like if you look at that hand, every single thing on the hand is a different
Mhm.
layer, right? But the reason it's so complex is like not is because I didn't want to start another work, so I was like, if I just keep working on this is technically working.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
so
it's interesting to hear you talk about this because like you create so much. I mean, you're posting all the time. Posting images on Facebook, Instagram all the time, and you're sending me stuff all the time. And like I feel like you never get burnout actually. Like that's um and so it's interesting to hear you talk about this, because that's like I in some ways like during the collaboration that we've been doing over the past year, like I've I've actually felt guilty at some points because I've sort of felt a little burnt out and uh and I feel like you never get burnout, at all. So
that's the trick, Andrew. I'm always burnt out. It's interesting because like it's hard and this is a big discussion about like living in a capitalist society, and I know huge sigh, um, but it's like yeah, it doesn't matter if you get burnt out, you still have to do the work. You know what I mean? Like you can take and like it's hard when you're oh it's a Mother's Day theme. I get it.
yeah.
When you're your not your own boss, because it's not entirely true, but like when you're working on your own schedule, it sounds like with Zodiac is our own schedule if we like it or not. But
Yeah.
like you have to keep making it because if you stop making it, you're not it anymore. It's not that you're not
Right.
doing it, it's that you're not the artist anymore. You have to continue to make art to be the artist you want to be. And
Exactly. Yeah, well, and that's what I've really liked about this collaboration is that we kind of keep that energy going, and I think you're right. Like even in the times where it's sort of felt overwhelming, and not because of the project itself, but usually it's because of other stuff that's
mm,
going on, right? That's usually I think when I find burnout. Well, hold on, let me finish our first thought. The first thing I was going to say was like I think that's another reason I think this collaboration and like other positive collaborations are good, because they sort of keep the momentum going, and even if you feel like stopping, then there's that kind of responsibility that we've talked about before. But the second thought that I was about to start is that I feel like burnout for me most of the time comes from other sources, like other non-creative sources, where you've got responsibilities in other areas, and it's kind of finding the management between. what you want to do creatively and what I want to do, or not, or what I don't want to do, rather, is probably the more accurate way to put it.
Yeah, trying to feed and water my seed plus feed a daughter. Yeah, no, Eminem had it right.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's funny because like as much as that's a joke, like it is that is a lie. Every time I sometimes think about it, and I'm like, dude, I get it. Because like
Mhm,
it's funny because like I have all these high artistic ambitions.
mhm,
It went to 19. Oh, thank God. I have all these high artistic ambitions, and like I want to make art that resonates and says something about how worried I am about the New Age movement and how it's weird connection to libertarianism and and gross nationalism. And like I want to do that, but also like I got to pay my water bill. You know,
mhm. Right.
it's such a and I got I need to uh create something that will resonate with people and people can look at and try to not only make for them but find the interlocked flow for myself to create something that is emotionally true uh
Yeah.
and also the cat pooped on the floor. I need it. It's this like I hate that I'm trying to stay away from balancing acts because it's just something I overuse, but
Yeah.
it is this emotional whiplash that is hard to have when you work in any version of the creative field. Um,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to speak a personal story real quick. Well,
Yeah. Mhm.
everything was kind of going on in the world that's bad. You get it. Pick one. I was in a mascot suit, just jumping around, and like the amount of tension in that was so high for me because like I would go and do the mascot job, and then I'd go on my phone and be like, "Wow, we are still in a lot of trouble as a world." And then I'd go
Mhm.
back out and goof around, and like that is a weird microcosm of what we're or like almost a macrocosm of what we're talking about. Is like
Yeah.
you have to take the mascot suit off.
Well, and I think that is kind of a good analogy for a lot of what we do artistically, not necessarily you and I, but just artists in general, I think, because so, I mean, some art, and we've talked about even some of the stuff that we've done has definitely been partially in reaction to what's going on in the world, but it's also very personal, and I think for most artists, um, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can say most artists or not, but I think for some artists, the stuff that you create is very personal and very um, meaningful to yourself, but it doesn't necessarily have a direct relationship or a direct effect on the external world, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but
I mean, you're hitting at something really interesting and
yeah.
important that I
Mhm,
think is it's good that we're having trouble putting a finger on it. It means we're getting
mhm,
closer to it. Um, I mean, we can make some agreements. Like art
mhm.
is well, we can art like any art is a manifestation of idea made external.
Right.
Even if the manifestation of idea is I don't need to manifest this externally, that is the manifestation of externally. And we're trying to okay, I'll let you out, baby. We're trying to I think that was also a great example of what we were talking about. When you see it, you see it. You're trying to like nail down what art is, but also the cat wants out.
Right.
Um, and you're trying to like. I'm fascinated by like what the purpose of art is,
Mhm.
and I feel like and what's funny is like there's so much going on in the world that this is a uh, frivolous conversation that we're having. Like it just is. But then like I also am like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's the one that keeps banging around my head. Even when I'm in survival mode, it's still banging around there for some reason.
Yeah, well, and that really hits on, I think, a lot of what I've struggled with just internally for myself is like A lot of what I feel like I do, and again, like I don't know if I can speak for all artists or not. I think maybe it's probably true for some artists, but I think for a lot of what I do is in some ways feels very selfish,
Hmm.
um, and and frivolous, and it's uh, a struggle that I've had for a really long time of like, what is what is the purpose of what I'm doing? What is meaningful about it? And does it really help anybody else, or does it need to help anybody else? Like, what is it? Maybe it should just be selfish. Maybe it should be for me. And that's a struggle that I've had for a really, really long time, I think.
I get that. I also, on top of that, I don't have it often, but sometimes, and
Mhm.
you might have this as well. Man, sometimes you do a piece and you look at the people around you and you're just like, oh man, I am the entertainment for the people I would never hang out with. Like, you ever have that moment of like, sometimes, like, the worst feeling I have sometimes is I am the plaything of the rich.
Mm,
Like, I'm their little frivolous toy, telling jokes or doing art or doing whatever. And like they'll smile at me, but like I am their art friend. And like that's such a like,
mm.
ugh, I do not like you. um, that happens.
Yeah.
You go.
No, go ahead. Because
Okay.
I want to hear like from the
No,
art
this is gonna sound
perspective.
crazy.
Because I know how it like feels from a musician perspective, but I want to hear like
I know how it feels for me. I don't. Every time I have it,
yeah.
I have it. Like my whole body reacts really negatively.
Mm,
I'll say this: I do some work elsewhere, and when I have to work the suites, I
mm,
am. I get in, I get out. I am miserable. Like I don't like doing it at all. It's one of my least favorite
yeah.
things is to work the expenses. I love, even if they're being like crappy. I'm being a little vague, so I don't get myself in trouble. Even if they're being like not so great, I'd much rather hang out with the people who paid a couple bucks and it's their thing than the people who are barely paying attention in the expensive rooms, you know?
Mhm.
And like I
Yeah.
just every time I go there, I'm like, ugh, God, it's the job. I do the job. I believe in doing the job. I signed up for it. But
Yeah.
it's my least favorite part every single time.
Yeah.
What is the musician's point of view?
Well, I think for me, part of it's also that I'm sort of naturally not a social person.
Mhm.
Um, and so like if I'm playing out somewhere, then there's inherently going to be a lot of different kinds of people that are there. And I would say probably a majority of them are sort of outside of my uh, I don't know if you would call it comfort zone of like conversation or comfort zone of talking. I would say probably, but a majority of people, and maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's just that I don't know them and I'm not really good at small talk. That could be part of it as well because I'm not inherently good at small talk and I don't necessarily enjoy small talk either. And I'm kind of socially awkward. I mean, there's even in talking to you, I notice awkwardness and and I consider you a very good friend. At this point, and and so even people with like I have good relationships with, I still feel like I'm kind of socially awkward in a lot of ways. So I think that that's probably a lot of it. Um, and to go to what you were talking about as sort of being like an entertainment for rich or even non-rich, people, just entertainment for people, entertainment for non-artists or non-musicians. I think like that's I think for me it's just like, well, I don't know necessarily how to uh, relate to some people, and that's not their fault. I think a lot of it's my fault. But so I don't know. I'm not sure if that was along the same.
No,
Again, I'm in my kind of like awkwardness right now. So
no, this is not. This is us explore. Like, not every coffee break in the world is going to be the easy ones. And I think this is
yeah.
a conversation that is emotionally and sort of morally like exhausting. Is
Mhm,
like if you want to write a diary, you write a diary. That's great. But if you want to make art, it's something I deal with a surprising amount.
mhm,
Which is I make art and people who I don't agree with go, this art agrees with me 100%. And I go, okay,
Yeah.
um, not what I was hoping for. And I
Right.
don't, in some ways, like, it's usually not so far out of pocket that like I can't be like, this is definitely not what it's about. But like
Mm,
I do get a lot of, and it's something I talked about beforehand. We'll just end on this, is like a lot of libertarian new ageism sort of gravitates towards me.
mhm.
That's how I want to end
That was that was a statement for the book, so let me say.
it. I would, it does though. It's a weird. It's not, and it's not that I. It's just if you like, if you like say like lamestream media and are just and think like weed is a personality, I'm your guy for some reason.